I'm Peter Cook, the author of Sex, Leadership and Rock and Roll in the Musical Business, and today I'm talking to Chris Slade. Good afternoon, Chris.
Hello, very nice to be here.
Now,
In sunny Gillingham.
in sunny Gillingham, that's brilliant, isn't it? We could do the drummer jokes, but I actually would prefer to not do that, because the drummer is the most important person in the band. If you have a shit drummer, then you've really got a bad performance. Could you say something about sort of that whole thing about how rhythm is really important in music?
Wow. Well, it's deeper than that. It's very important in life, to be honest. Everything has a cycle. Everything goes in a rhythm. The seasons are in a rhythm. And it comes right back to keeping the band together. Because everybody taps their foot in a different way. With a 30-piece orchestra, everybody's tapping their foot, either on the beat, off the beat, or a little bit behind, a little bit in front. And if you can get everybody going at the same time, that's what the drummer's job is.
And you've been in bands that are perhaps characterised by having really solid rhythms like AC/DC, but then other bands that perhaps are a bit more progressive rock like Manfred Mann. I mean, can you reflect on any of the differences between the way you've played in those bands?
Well, I'm very lucky that I can play both types, because I was also playing in Earth Band. Manfred Mann's Earth Band I was also in Asia, so replacing Carl Palmer, and I'm so lucky to be able to play, say, Four to the Floor, which, like for AC/DC, and be able to go tricky-dicky stuff with Asia and Earth Band. So, because I started off with jazz.
I was going to come back to where you started, but take me on.
Just that I started listening to jazz in those days. If you wanted to hear good musicianship, it was only in jazz. It wasn't in pop music.
No. Okay.
Then pop music evolved, got better, and there were some really good players. But that was later on. That was sort of, mid-60s onwards.
So take me back to the beginning. You started in Wales. I mean, was there a music scene where you grew up and did that? Were you hitting pots and pans, or how did you start drumming?
Yeah. I was biscuit tin, actually. And
just one?
And a couple of knives. Yeah, just one. Could only afford one. And knives. And on the table and playing the offbeat on the biscuit. And
did Tom Jones spot you playing the biscuit tin, or was there a gap between that and your first sort of gig with him?
He didn't like it because I'd eaten all the biscuits. He didn't like that very much at all.
But literally, how did you bump into Tom?
I actually bumped into, to cut a long story short, I was doing like a weekend job. I went to Pontypridd Boys Grammar School. And I had a weekend job in Cardiff, which was 10 miles away. In a shoe shop.
Yeah.
And I'll cut it right down. The guitarist came in to buy shoes. And I heard from one of the women in the shop that they sacked their drummer the night before. So I went up to him, and I was like 16, 17, and he was 20. Bleh. So it's a huge difference, what it's like in those days.
Yeah,
at that age. And I went up and said, I think you're looking for a drummer, and I'm a drummer, and I live by Tom. I didn't know Tom at all. My father did, because my father was a tap dancer and singer. And that's how he used to come back and talk about Tom, this great singer.
So you can't be world class by sitting in your bedroom playing the drums. You've got to get out there and ask someone, "Can I play with you?" Is that the lesson?
Well, yes, you've got to be in the right place at the right time.
It's a little bit of luck as well, but nonetheless, you've got to ask.
If there's, I suppose you could call it luck. I believe you make your own luck.
Yeah. Okay.
And sometimes you get what you might call unlucky too. So it's your decision.
Now, you told me earlier that AC/DC, there are no mistakes on stage, or never any mistakes, because in fact, that's the virtue of preparation. Have you got any funny stories about?
And being great musicians, by the way.
And being great musicians, yeah. So preparation
Malcolm must be the greatest rhythm player ever born. And I'm not the only one to say that. Many other guitarists have said that. He's just there on the ball. It makes the drummer's job so easy.
Yeah, on AC/DC and that tightness, I mean, where does that, is it coming from a combination of the drums, Malcolm, having someone who's... Because guitarists, I'm a guitarist, we're never in time exactly, and are we? But we rely on all the things at the back of the stage to make it work. And how does it actually work when he was in AC/DC?
Yeah, I mean, and Cliff, the bass player, just lays it down. Usually plays just eights, doesn't he? If you listen to the records, dun, 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 dun. You know, there's, of course, he can go off on tangents if he wants to, but it's the best rhythm section ever, I think.
Yeah.
Some people like sloppy rhythm sections.
No, it's time.
Rolling Stones, for instance.
Yeah.
Very, very, sloppy in a nice way. I'm not being disparaging.
And that's probably because Mick Jagger himself was born in a crossfire hurricane in Dartford.
Was he really?
Yeah, so...
Wow, that's amazing. I should write that down.
Yeah, it might be a lyric.
No, you should write it down.
Yeah, well,
you invented it.
Let's make a record. Tell us about some of the other bands, contrasts of bands you've been in terms of drumming styles and things you've had to do, or any funny stories about bands you've been in that are revealable.
Revealable, let me think. There's probably, no, there's not.
Oh, all right.
But as I said earlier on, I'm writing a book, in the process of writing a book. I hope I finish it before I snuff it.
It's always good for profits to finish the thing before you snuff it. But
yes.
What's it going to be called?
That's also classified.
Okay.
I have a very good title, actually.
Okay. We always have a good time.
Yeah. But I've been trying to do it for 5 years now, so we'll see.
As well as Asia, Paul Rogers and various other people you've played with, the one thing that stands out in my curiosity is you had a spell playing with Gary Newman, and I know a chap called Bill Nelson who worked with Gary, they're both perfectionists, and that doesn't always work. But I mean, a drummer playing with a man who's a self-confessed robotic, slave to roboticism and electronic, how did that go?
It was all right, actually.
Yeah.
It was okay. What made it so great for me to work at that time with Gary was that I was also working on bass with Pino Palladino, one of the greatest bass players ever, and that was his first gig. And because he's from Cardiff, Pino, with a name like Pino Palladino.
I thought he might be from South America, but he was from South Wales.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
His father was Italian.
Oh, okay.
Is Italian, I should say.
Still is?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was Pino's first ever gig on fretless bass. Gary said to me, do you know a fretless player? And I'd met Pino, I think, maybe a few weeks before. And I went, I know just the man. And
that would work with Newman, wouldn't it? Yeah.
And so that sort of gave the electronic music a lot of emotion, actually.
So it put heart into the electronic.
I think it did.
Yeah, okay.
I think it did. And we had to play to not just to click tracks, which I've done upon occasions. I don't like to use click tracks, especially on stage. But with Gary, we had to play to backing tracks with keyboards on, no click, just like chord sequences and things. Now, don't ask me why. Ask Gary, actually.
Yeah.
It was a bit OTT for me, but with Pino there, if people don't know, he's the guy that did that wherever I lay my
and
hat
a lot of other more interesting stuff.
Just singing bass, just fantastic.
But
he's
also got great timing though for a fretless bass player. I mean, one thinks of a fretless bass player as someone who's very jazzy and therefore possibly a little bit random, but his timing is also brilliant.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, all the greats have good timing.
Yeah.
You can learn it. You can learn it. I'm blessed with really good timing. You may not.
We'll find out later on. So, best gig you've ever done?
I don't know about best,
or some of the best.
The one that stands out is one of the ones that stands out. Well, Donington with AC/DC, live at Donington, the DVD, and we also on that tour we played in Moscow to 1 million people.
What's that like?
One show. It's out of this world. I mean, you look out there and it goes over the horizon.
Yeah.
The crowd. It's like,
Because there's a great video on YouTube. It's probably on a video as well, which you're selling, but of one of your drum solos, I think, from Donington, isn't there? I'm sure there is, because I was looking at it the other day.
I don't think I did a drum solo
perhaps
with
it's
AC/DC. We did it once. You know, when Angus goes on the floor, he lays on the floor and he spins round.
There's something on YouTube I spotted the other day.
So they came
maybe
up
it's not Donington.
The brothers came up to me and went, yeah, you know when Angus spins around like that, can you do like some drumming? I went, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, right. We did it for about 6 gigs, I think, and that was all.
Yeah.
I don't know why. You never know with the guys why they start anything or why they stop anything. They communicate like this. They don't talk. They go, and one of them will go.
So we should conduct the rest of this in mime, should we?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, coming on to now, what's happening in your life, in Chris Slade's life now?
This right now, timeline. The Chris Slade timeline. It's on Facebook, folks.
Okay.
And it's something I've been wanting to do for a long time. And this opportunity came along because the band, these guys, are so damn good that they could play AC/DC and they're so versatile, they can play classic rock. So I'm doing sort of 50 years of my career out of 51. I forgot about the first year.
Come on, tell us some of the greatest things you've done, or the silliest things you've had to do.
Oh, silliest, my God. It's always silly. You've always got to have a sense of humour. I mean, about everything. Even when it's good, you've got to have a sense of humour about it. It keeps your feet in the ground, you know? No, as I mentioned, there was one gig with Earth Band once, and were on the... Oops, I shouldn't have said.
Don't say...
There was another band on the bill with us.
Right.
And Earth Band were flying that night. We absolutely were flying. We couldn't put a thing wrong. We were up there, you know. And I've never done drugs in my life, but we were out there. And we were so good, the crowd wouldn't let us get off the stage. We got in the car, went back to the hotel. About 20 minutes later, this band comes back. And they're looking a bit like this. Hey, guys, what happened to the gig? And the crew told us that the crowd was so incensed they wanted us back. They wouldn't stop cheering for us. Now, that was a night to remember.
But you pissed off the other unnamed band.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, which I joined later on.
Yes. Well, so there we are. That's
About
so you made it up to
5
them
years later.
by joining them. I presume they were hoping you would keep them on all night long.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Any unfulfilled dreams, fantasies, or wishes for the next 20 years of your life? Anyone you haven't played with you'd like to do a gig
Well, I've
with?
played for 50 years so far, and I want to play for another 50, to be honest. I can't wait. I love being on the road. And just doing what I've been doing. And I'm so lucky at my age to be able to do it and still do it with power and emotion and all the rest. And it's a real workout playing drums.
And your website would be called?
ChrisSlade.com.
Wow, how appropriate.
Yes, with www in front of it.
I think we all know that these days, apart from my dad, but he's dead. So he won't be worried about it.
So is mine, and he won't be either.
Thank you very much, Chris Slade.
All right, Peter.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate.